back to Random Rod Shop, folks. Well, today we're going to see if we can finish up all the niggling little pieces that we got to finish on this International. For those of you who are just joining, we took a 70 International pickup, dropped it on a 2002 Tahoe chassis, shortened the bed up 16 inches to make a short wide bed out of it, and we've been working on it all. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So today, this is the cab corner, and I was originally going to make the whole cab corner, but in the end, it was just the edge. It was rusty. So bent up a patch panel on the bead roller. I'll put a link up here in where we fixed the back of the cab. It's the same bend. So, you know, one thing I'm beginning to come to the realization of, previously, until I started this International project, I've pretty much just bent, 20 gauge stuff. And that bead roller was just happy. It did what I needed to do. This 18 gauge stuff is a little more challenging, so I think we're going to have to take some time and we're going to have to stiffen up this bead roller so it stops moving around as much. Also, I got my axles in. So these are a set of 3-inch shorter axles for a Silverado rear end. My plan is to put the Silverado rear end, so it's like a 2002. My plan is to put that underneath that 67 pickup. That way it'll have a 12 bolt. The 8.6 is effectively a 12 bolt. It'll have 6 lug wheels, and it'll have disc brakes. And I can go to Napa and I can get parts for the thing. So once again, if you guys are interested in watching me shorten that rear end, we can do that. All right, let me move the camera around, and this is going to be this video is going to be a lot of little stuff. So we're going to bounce around and try to once and for all tie up all these loose ends. So this is where this thing needs to go. Let me give me a minute and let me get it mounted up there with some magnets. 'Cause I think we still got some more cutting and shaping to do. Well, that fits a whole lot better than I thought it was going to. That's not that I haven't been working on this thing. But as always, fitting a patch into a pre-made hole is always interesting. Let me get the welder out and let me weld this thing together, or at least tack it up there and see if we can get it fitted. I'll get back to you. All right. Well, you can see the sun has already moved over the building. We've got this one welded in. It's not perfect, but I think it'll work. We'll probably do some more cleaning before we before I epoxy prime this thing. So, but for right now, I think that's going to work. Went ahead and filled in the gas filler hole, and I decided what I was going to do with this door. Let me stick you on a tripod here. So what I decided to do was see if I could manipulate the bottom of this door. So I've got this oak block here, and I've been whopping on it back and forth. I think I've got it just about there. I think that's going to serve its purpose. It's no longer hanging out. And if we look at the inside, I think no harm, no foul. Yeah, I think that will be happy. I'll put a straight edge on the outer line here and make sure I still got it straight. But all in all, I think that looks pretty good. So the next thing, I'm going to go ahead and get this welded up on the back. Just a lot of plug welds. And then we're going to see if we can attack this hole up by the windshield. This is, I've been poking and prodding at this thing, and it's rusted through here, but that cover, there's like a sheet metal cover right here that's just spot welded on the front. It's not actually welded on the corners, so I'm thinking we'll drill those spot welds out, get that out of there. I don't know if you can actually see that, but this is one piece right here, and it steps down, and then this comes across and lays on top of it so that this is flush with this. I think what I'm going to do, given this is all rusted out here, is I think I'm going to make a patch panel that just goes right across here. And I'll weld it straight to that, and I'll weld it straight to that. I think that's what I'm going to do anyway. I gotta still do some digging. There's some more rust holes in here. So I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get spot welds on the back done. I'm gonna get these welded up, and that way we can just, we can call this done, and then we will move up here and see how bad this is. The more I dig, the more interesting it becomes. All right, folks. Yesterday was a full day of welding. Before we get started on the back on the International, this has been bothering me for a while. These ball joints, and when I measured these, and I was looking, when I measured them, I said there was 10 thousandths difference between the original ball joint and that C10 and the new ones. When I was editing it, in the video I said 182, 192, and when I was editing it, I'm like, well, that's not 10 thousandths, that's 100 thousandths. That's been bugging me. Because generally I don't make those mistakes with calipers. So the number is 1992 and 1982. So the right answer is there was 10 thousandths difference. I should have trusted what I said when I was measuring it. Okay. Yesterday was, I don't know if I'm repeating myself. Yesterday was all that, it was welding. That was just welding stuff that, tidying up a few things that we've been working on along the way. So I didn't film much of it because it was all welding and grinding. Today, we're going to get started on those, what in reality was the reason why I got started on taking the windshield out. I thought the little rust by the corner of the windshield was what I had to do. I had no idea the eyebrow was toast. So Let's have a look at the rust under the windshield. I've spent a little bit of time looking at this, and yeah, this is kind of interesting. So I think I showed you this probably a couple of times. So this panel gets welded on top of this panel. It overlaps right here. All right, so it comes down and you can see the pinch weld here. There's a triangular piece that gets welded up under here. And I thought that was, to do some more sealing. But the more I've looked at it, I'm not entirely sure what its purpose is other than to, keep rocks. Let's see if I can get a light in here and we can have a look at this. All right, yeah, you can see that. You see that gap right there? And there's actually a gap on this side. So I'm gonna see if I can get the light. Let me stick a screwdriver down in there. I don't know if we can see that or not. Well, you can see stuff coming out. I can see the screwdriver, but you probably can't. But you can see that the back of that triangle isn't closed up. It's like 1/4 of an inch apart, away back here in the back side back there. And this side over here is the same way. So I'm not entirely sure what that panel is. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what that panel does. But that said, if I break these spot welds up here, it looks like that thing's just gonna come out. Looks like it may be brazed right there. So I'll get a grinder and I'll cut that out. Find these spot welds and see if I can get those spot welds out, cut loose, and we'll pull that out of there and we'll make a new piece and put it in there. Strange. All right, so the one piece that I've been pondering pretty hard is that little stub right there. And what that stub is for is this is the rest of the cowl vent here. It goes on here like this. Goes up on those. Oh, well, this is off the green truck, and apparently it was broke, so I didn't notice that. So that's just a stud that's spot welded onto there. Well, that's good to know. All right, I think what I'm going to do, because there's quite a bit of rust back behind this. I was really hoping to, replace this little piece right here. And I think I'm going to cut this out back to here, because that's obviously rusted. And looks like we got good metal back to here. So I'm going to see if I can make a patch that just goes all the way across here, and we will weld this panel to this panel. I know it's supposed to be split there, but you know what? I don't think this truck's going to care. And we'll get it all smoothed out. Gonna have to be careful here, because that's gonna show. So we'll have to be careful in our welding and our grinding there. All right. So I'm gonna set the camera up, and we're gonna see if we can make a pattern for this before I start cutting this thing all apart. And then we'll cut it out and we'll see how much trouble we're gonna get into. Also, I'm gonna go ahead and drill these spot welds out and grind that brass out. One thing to keep in mind when you're making patterns like this, you're overlaying on the outside. When I make this metal, it's going to want to go that way, the thickness of the metal. You need to make sure that you leave enough clearance between, in this case, the pinch weld and the pattern. I mean, you can always grind it to fit, but I seem to find it helps if I recognize that up front, right? So this patch is going to be flush with this, so it's going to go back the thickness of the metal there. So you need to make sure that you remember that this pattern doesn't need to go all the way back to the pinch weld. So I drew a Sharpie line on there. That's going to be pretty close. The other point of concern is this interaction right here. If that patch goes, back the thickness of the metal, you need to make sure that this bottom edge isn't on an upslope, so when you push it back, it raises it up. In this case, that looks pretty flat right there, so I don't think there's going to be an issue here. Like always, if it is, we'll just have to fix it. Let me get in there and look real good and see how far back I'm actually going to cut this thing, and we'll go see if we can make this panel. One last thing before we get started. Initially, I thought this edge had a crown to it, but that edge is flat. The top is flat. And this vertical piece is flat. So that's gonna make this significantly easier. I mean, we still gotta deal with the curvature right here and on this flat piece, but not having the crown in those, not having the crowns makes it a little easier. All right, let me go clean off the bench. Let me get some metal, and let's start talking about how we're going to make this. All right, so I got a piece of metal here. It's 18 gauge, and let's see if I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it long, just in case I find rust where I didn't think I was going to find it. We'll see if we got that. Oh, it slid on me. Let's see if I got that marked. Find a Sharpie with a coin on it. All right, I'm gonna go trim this. I'm gonna go trim this off, and we're gonna run it through the bead roller and see if we can make this curve. I'm gonna use our famed angled Harbor Freight, you know, throatless shear. Well, I think I forgot to turn on the record. Let me do it just so you know. Just so you know, it really does work. There we go. It would have been easier if I'd turned on the recording. All right, I got the bead rotor set up here with a skateboard, and it's not really a skateboard. I think I ordered it off Amazon. And I had to make the mark on the other side because relative to how this goes on there, this needs to get bent down this way. So let's give this a shot. Let's see. It's got to bend up that way. Well, that's a good start. Now we need to shrink this side so we can get it pulled on around. And we know from experience, I should have taken the paint off of that before I before I started this. Okay, let me get the paint off. Okay, we took the paint off. Let's see if we can get this thing to kind of close up a little bit. All right, let me straighten this corner out here, and I think at this point I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off. And what do you think? We'll go ahead and drill that hole there. Yeah, I think we'll do that. All right, let me get this cut. All right, let's have a look at this thing. Well, looks like we got to get more of a bend on it. Looks like the curve's not bad though. All right, let me whop this a little bit, and we'll probably have to shrink it a little bit more. All right, let's go try that. I think I may have went too much, but let's see what it looks like. All right, so got a gap here. We need to go ahead and shrink this a little more to pull this whole thing around. Let me go hit it with a shrinker. Looks like probably somewhere in right there. Let's go have a look again. Looks like I need to trim off the back of this a little bit. I'm beginning to wonder if I should just go ahead and cut that off so I can make this piece, and then we'll weld on that piece. Still got to bring this around. It's got to be bent more that way. Let me go hit it a little more. All right, I'm gonna go try this. Let me cut the back edge of this off first, because we know we're running out of room. So let me go cut this off. Let me try it. I'm sure we're gonna have to do some more monkeying. All right. Well, that was interesting, but I think I've got it in there now. A lot of snipping and grinding and fitting. But I think it's in there now. All right, what I need to do now is break these spot welds. I need to get this bottom panel out of here. One, it's got a rust hole in it, and two, I need to put rust converter and paint all in there. It appears that may be okay. I don't know. I'm going to continue to check that out. I'm not sure. Still don't know whether I got to cut that out or not, but I think we're okay at this point. All right, let me get a drill. I'm gonna drill these things out. I'll get back with you. Man, for something that wasn't anything more than a cover, that thing was welded in there. Ended up having to make Swiss cheese out of my panel there. Let me get the rust converter out, and let me brush rust converter everywhere, and we'll make another one of these. One thing good about it, it's not complicated. All right, let me get back to you. It's going to take me a bit to get all this done, so I'll get back. I thought while this rust converter is curing, I just discovered something. Let me show you. I put a screwdriver, you know, from the top up there, and I'm like, well, crap. What else have I got going on? I thought that was a rust hole. Not that there ain't no rust up there, but that is a hole left from the factory. That's where the panels just had a gap in them. I've checked that out. That is definitely from the factory. Let me show you the seam sealer they had in there. So this was stuck up in there. Man, they use seam sealer by the gallon. I've already taken down a lot of it. I don't know, what do you put that on with a fire hose? I don't know. Anyway, I guess it makes me feel both good and bad at the same time. I'm like, man, that is a big old hole. But the good news is, it was there from the factory, so I don't have to patch it at this point. So I think that's a win. It's disconcerting, I can tell you. That's a big hole. That's a big hole. I guess technically speaking, if there's no holes on the outer skin, then it's not going to leak. But when that does leak, you got a world of hurt. The bottom of this cowl vent is all rusted out. So once we get all this done, we're gonna have to cut the bottom out of the cowl and get it patched. My thought is, I don't think that's complicated. I don't know, but I don't think that's complicated. I'm gonna do some more looking. I still haven't decided whether I need to cut that out or not. So I'm gonna do some more looking and convince myself that's not rusty behind there, or we're gonna cut it out. So a little more time before this rust converter is cured. So I'll get back with you. Next time you see it, it's probably gonna be all painted black, and we're gonna start trying to fit some panels. I got the bottom one cut. That just sets in there like that. Hopefully that will set in there like that. Yep. That should set in there. It's the same size as the other one. I have to see what's going on. All right. Let me get back to you. That's the trouble you can get into if you let it slip. And now we got a mess here. We got to get that tack broke. That's going to be significantly harder. Now let's see if we tweaked our panel. That's much better. All right. I won't make you watch me weld that in. Let me get after it. Well, I think that looks pretty good. It's all smooth. It's not perfect, but I think that's going to work pretty well. I'm pretty happy about the progress at this point. We got the back of the cab welded in. We got the cab corner in. We got the filler neck hole filled in. And I've been dreading this one. We still got to do the other side, but I don't think it's as bad. Just looking at it, it's not as bad as this one was. I'll leave you with your trivia for today. This is a lifter out of a 3.4 liter V6. This is the one my son's been trying to put in his S10. And we have kind of fought and fought. Lifters have been problematic to adjust. Finally got to the point like, there's got to be something going on. Those lifters appear to be stuck. I've just never had every lifter in an engine stuck. Anyway, we pulled them out, and sure enough, every lifter is stuck in that engine. So we put a new set of lifters in, set the valves, it purrs like a kitten. I'm like, man, I wished I would have known to do that, 3 weeks ago. I think the heads and the intake have a zipper on them at this point. But it runs. It appears that these are the same lifters that's in a small block Chevy. Learn something every day. Well, if you've subscribed to the channel, man, I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed and you find something interesting, subscribe, make a comment, leave a like. And until next time, I'm Random at Random Rod Shop, and we're out of here.